Saturday morning here. Normally when I get home from work I can't do any filming because it's still dark. So weekends are precious this time of year because we have light and I can film my outdoor projects. We got some cackling from the seagulls this morning. Yikes. It's a foggy day, it's a damp day, but temperature's nice. A little bit of breeze, nice and cool. So spring is coming. And I have grapes beginning the bud break and some not breaking yet, because besides my original grape, I went crazy and bought a lot more. And I have some grafts, some cuttings from last year that took, not a lot, but a few. And see what happens this year. This is the update of the amateur island vineyard project here. So we'll see how it goes. I couldn't decide if I should do this in any particular order, but I did think that it would be appropriate to do my first grape, my Champanel, since this is the first. And you saw in the other video I did some really amateur pruning just to have some grapes this year. But we are in later February, only a few more days left of February, and we have bud break. Not so much here yet, but we will get it. Might get some activity here. A little bit here. A little bit here. I have weeding to do. I know that. This is a cutting that I did from old wood that really sprung out last year. And so I did get first year growth from it. No grapes last year, obviously, but this is the second, well, it's first year in the ground, I guess, as a year-old cutting, I should put it that way. Just starting some bud break. So, putting that just on a single stake. See what happens. These are this year's cuttings from all the same vine. I got some bud break on that. Doesn't mean anything. May not ever take root. I've seeded this last year and had some bud break, but they ended up dying, so it's a good sign. Maybe it'll take, see what happens. Right next to this Champanel, though, is the winner of the race here so far in the bud break world is the Catawba. Just a regular Lowe's purchase Catawba grape. Still has the tag on it. Bought this a year ago from the store. Had it in the pot until about a month ago, and I put it in the ground. And look at the bud break. An early riser for sure. We'll see what happens now that it's in the ground this year. I got one trunk and 2 vines coming out of it on a single stake. I'll upgrade that stake soon. I ordered grapes online from Ison's and Wilson's way back in November, but I got impatient. And so I was at Tractor Supply, and they had a Cowart Muscadine. Comes in a little box with one dormant stick in it, and pretty decent roots. So this was planted probably 3 weeks ago. There was nothing on it, still dormant. Maybe even a month ago, probably a good 3.5 weeks ago. So I'm gonna have things all over my yard. And this is beyond bud break. No, this is This is coming out like a beast already. It's just one thin little stick. And I got to decide what to do with it. Allow it to go up this fence rail. It's going to be a monster. But I'll probably get a stake and train it a little bit this way and then a little bit hugging the steps. But man, this just really came out suddenly. Try not to fall in the water here. Moving to a different part of the property. So we're over by my privacy fence here. This is Ison's delivery. It's a Carlos Muscadine. I don't see any activity yet, but it's alive. You can see the buds. I just planted him probably a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. Came with some real good roots, and I have to trim it down and pick a main vine, but haven't had the heart to do that yet. But it's in the ground. This bucket has no bottom. I cut the bottoms out. It's not a bucket anymore. It's a shelter. So in case I need to do some trimming, I feel safer with that around the trunk. Carlos Muscadine. And I'm going to have to build a trellis for that for sure. If it comes out, I'm sure it will. Okay, going into my future vineyard here. This is a cool area. It's really ugly on the ground because it's just ground cover to keep the weeds down right now. But this is the side of the house. And like I said, I ordered grapes online. Went crazy because I got the grape fever. So this ugly side of the house is going to be my little mini vineyard here. Why here? Gulf of Mexico is that way. Canals back here. I get a really nice breeze. Almost constant. This is a breezeway between the two houses and between the fence. And that's going to be good when it gets really hot and really humid around here for some of these varieties. And let's get into that. I thought this is from Ison's, by the way. This is a Blanc du Bois, a white grape variety. It's a hybrid. It's got some European grape genetics. It's got some American grape genetics. It was developed, gosh, I want to say the 60s. Anyway, not a old variety, but it was created for this part of the world where it gets hot and humid. So here's the first one I got. I think it's a 2-year-old vine. I thought it was dead up until this morning. And now I see all kinds of buds coming to life. And I am no longer concerned. That's going to be a plant. I already see a tiny leaf that I cannot, maybe I can try it. I don't know if you'll see that. Because maybe you can see a green leaf there, but that's a great sign. It's a one grape. It's going to be a wine grape. So whatever else it is next to that. This also came from Ison's. This is a Lomanto. I believe it's also a 2-year-old plant. They had great roots. Also planted 2 weeks ago, 2.5 or so. And I see bud break. We got some decent rain this week and some sudden warm weather. Late February. This is not from Ison's. This is from Willis Orchards. They sell the option of a 3-year-old grapevine. And it does look a little different and a little older. And I hope that gives me a jump start. And we'll find out what the difference is. Lomanto is a red variety, also a hybrid. What I bought were supposedly Pierce disease resistant grapes. So I didn't want the heartbreak of having things die, and they might anyways, but I want to minimize that. What is this now? I forgot. It's Black Spanish. This is from Ison's, so this will be back to a 2-year-old, and I'm seeing these buds for the first time today. I've been checking every day, not much going on, and yesterday and last night seems to have been the breaking point of most of these, with the exception of that Carlos that we saw. That's going to be Black Spanish, red variety. Alright, this is another Lomanto. It's from Willis Orchards. And this is a 3-year plant. Big trunk on it. So I believe them when they say it's 3. And this is in a different part of the yard. Sort of as just to see what happens over here. We also have a breeze here, just not as concentrated as the other side. But I don't know if I'm going to have this up on the rail here or make its own trellis. We'll see. By the way, it is showing signs of bud break here, so a day or two. This is a Champanel from a cutting that was successful last year. It never went dormant because I brought it in during a freeze and then brought it back out, but I guess it never got the chill hours it needed. Maybe it's because it's next to this wall, but the leaves never dropped completely. It doesn't look great, but we'll see what it does without a dormant period. And then I got over here some cuttings from this year, some more. And they're budding. We'll see what happens with those. Alright, this is the last one I'm going to show. This is an update on the Cabernet Sauvignon grape. Like the Champanel I just showed you, I brought it in when we had the freeze, and it never went dormant. Never lost its greenery. I don't know what that means. I've done a lot of research on pure European grapes, Vinus vinifera, and have since learned that it's probably not a good idea to have them down here because they just don't like the humidity, and they can get Pierce's disease and other things. But I'm going to keep this one, and probably keep it in the front, away from the vineyard, and we'll see what happens. I'll baby it. I'll keep it in maybe a huge pot, and just kind of keep it on its own as an experiment. And I'll probably spray it. I'm going to spray everything. I don't want to take a chance. I'm not organic. But pretty cool that I had one survivor and it's still here. So I'll try to keep it alive. Cabernet Sauvignon. Well, that is it for this update on the grapes anyway. I got a million hobbies. I got hunting and fishing and tiki carving and riding and, you know, the Jeeps you may have seen. And now it's this. I get obsessed. So I love this stuff. And this is my latest thing, and I'll send updates. And I'm going to be growing grapes and making wine and learning how to do all this stuff. So spring is coming. I like this.